Hello, and welcome to Meet Your Next Best Hire, a podcast featuring and highlighting top industry real estate leaders looking to land their next venture in the job marketplace. I'm Kelsey Corey, your host. With over a decade of real estate executive search and recruiting experience, and the founder of Corey Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck, I've had the unique privilege of partnering with top real estate firms to recruit and place high-level leaders across the country. In this podcast, we will have the amazing opportunity to hear top real estate industry leaders sharing their career stories, leadership and management style, and ultimately what they're known for in their craft. I can't wait to dive in and connect you with the best talent in the marketplace. Let's dive in together. Hey everybody, welcome to the show, Meet Your Next Best Hire. We have Kacia Grant with us, and she is a director of property management in the Midwest market. We've had the privilege and opportunity to get to know her throughout this past year, and she is when you see her online, she has such great, vibrant energy. She has this optimism that is just exuding out. And I was like, you know what? We got to have you on the show. We always appreciate getting to know high-level leaders that are making such a big difference inside the real estate industry. And you have really grown up inside this space and touched very different parts of the business. And I'm so grateful that we have you here today to hear your story, to come alongside you in this process, get to kind of dive in and understand ultimately like what you're known for in your craft. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. I can't wait to dive into all the topics.
Thank you for having me, Kelsey. I'm excited.
Yes. And so I know I really would like to kind of just get started and understand, how did you end up getting into the industry? Like, I know for many of us, we fell in, but I'd love to know your backstory and what ultimately made you decide, I'm going to stick with it. Like real estate is my passion.
Yeah. So it's a kind of a funny story, and I call this my elevator pitch. I was going to be a teacher. That was first passion. I love the kiddos, but I have a big heart. So one day my parents called me and they're like, hey, homegirl, we need you to, become a grown up and start paying your own bills. And I kid you not, in that same week, I seen a sign in the yard where I was living in the apartment complex. And it was like, become a leasing agent and get a discount on rent. And I was like, sign me up.
Right. Right.
And applied and became a leasing agent to start my career off and fell in love with it. And it was in collegiate housing. So I fell in love with the hustle, the marketing, meeting people, and figuring out, what demographics and what is it that makes you want to call this place home. And so the sales and marketing is really where I first started excelling. And I was like, you know what? I think I'll change my major. I think I want to go into business and marketing and really see where this takes me. So that's how I started. And I quickly learned that I wanted to become an expert. I wanted to be someone that was able to touch every piece of property management and real estate. And what I love most about our sector is that you can go anywhere in the world, right? You just got to know the language and you got to learn the demographic and do this. You can, manage properties or sell real estate and develop. And so that's what I did. And I kind of took it and ran with it and let it make me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like you literally grew up with it. You're like, I've got so much opportunity. I don't have to be put in a box. And I love the fact that you essentially, thought about maybe I'll be a teacher, but in some sense, you're still part of that inside this sector. You're still teaching, educating, come alongside people inside, where they want to call home and educate them through that process. I love that you didn't say, okay, this is the only path. And then, like you said, there was a sign and you're like, all right, this is a great deal. 2 for 1. I'll get some discount housing. And then you started your professional career.
And learned, site level, as a leasing agent, as a leasing marketing manager, and then really worked my way up. And I was like, okay, now I want to learn how does it even become an apartment complex, right? So I want to get into the development side. And I think, I'm not just a real estate professional. I'm someone who deeply is passionate about creating meaningful change. Especially within, this housing sector. And my career has always been driven by a desire to find homes for people, but not just, market rate, but affordable, sustainable, equitable for all. And that's what kind of pushed me into that development side of mixed use, right? And putting mixed use housing in different areas that can maybe doesn't have, commercial spaces. And so while I've had the opportunity to gain that extensive across various facets of real estate, one of the most transformative moments for me was my first development in the DC area. And because they were starting to gentrify and really bring these grocery stores and these living spaces and these co-working spaces. And I got to see, okay, how do I manage people, manage a project, and still create sustainability? And so I think that was what really poured into my leadership as well. And so I was involved in different cross-department, collaboration and communities, and to really amplify, hey, we got to develop everywhere we can, right? If there's, if we have to go out, we can. If we have to go up and be dense, we can. But really teach along the way, right? How do we overcome the objectives? How, can we shape and overcome the complexities of gentrification? So I think that's where I really took a pivot. And so while property management is my heart, I love the process from the start, right? Developing.
Yes, I love it. We always need leaders like you, right? That are like literally from the ground zero, breaking ground with the dirt and really building it and bringing that vision to life. Because it's so cool when you see it like 18 months later or whenever that project is finalized, then you see people are actually co-living in that space. You see their multi-uses being done and said. I think those properties are the best. I love mixed use. Like a lot more convenient. Especially as a young mom now, I'm like, okay, that makes things a lot easier than going to all across town. And I love that I can just feel your passion, that this is something where you're like you said, you can really mold this industry. And real estate is so diverse. It's not only one lane. There's so much opportunity that you can get your hands involved in. And I love the fact that that really speaks and resonates to you on the development mixed use side, as well as property management. And that kind of goes naturally into our next question, which is this. You kind of touched on some of these things, but let's really dig in. What are you known for in your craft? What's your expertise? What's your stamp? And then kind of share with us a couple of strengths that you bring to the table.
Yeah, I want to say ultimately my goal is simple. It's to be a part of creating the change I want to see, building equitable, affordable, and sustainable housing for all. But I would say my stamp is that situational adaptability, being able to adapt on the fly, right? When we have investors coming and it's out of nowhere and we have to sell, our product, or if we know we're getting toward Q4 and we're not meeting budget, how can we increase NOI last minute? So that situation adaptability, I think that I've carried throughout my career has really carried me. Secondly, I would say instilling trust. I think instilling trust is huge, right? Not just on the organizational level, but just for self-brand and awareness with the residents as well, right? And knowing that my team can trust that I'm going to deliver and that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, but my passion behind it also drives the communities that we serve. And then I would say third, I'm going to give you four. Okay, my third one is driving results. Driving results, right? I mean, the bottom line. We got to meet the bottom line, right? But driving those results also not only help me amplify my employees. Say, hey, we can get bonuses. Hey, we can now I can meet with investors. We can build more. We can do a lot more. But also driving the results that the community wants to see, and it sets the mark. And then really quick, I'd say my last one is empowerment, right? Empowering the people that want to get into real estate, into development in my team, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. So empowering, the people, my organization, into continuing to put our best foot forward. So those are the four.
There was some really good stuff in there. I mean, it's hard to pick all of them. I love the first one that you talked about is situational adaptability. I mean, that is, I would say, one of the best traits anybody can have, because at the end of the day, if you're so rigid, if you cannot adapt under pressure, things are always changing in this landscape. I mean, the people aspects are changing and how the market is shifting and changing, right? And it's like that's a huge advantage that you bring. And I like the fact that you said empowering people, right? And really looking at your team and saying, it's not just about us. At the end of the day, like it is about everybody and we're all on the same team. And I do feel like in a sense of culture, right? It's like, it's either you're going to have a healthy, thriving culture where we're all feeding off of that, or there's negativity and there's toxicity that happens. And we want to align ourselves with the people that we want to keep moving forward. And what does those initiatives look like? And the bottom line at the end of the day always matters. I mean, we got to drive results. And that actually is a perfect segue into our last question is your leadership management style. And can you share with us what that looks like and how has that impacted the bottom line?
Yes. Great question, Kelsey. I would say to successfully lead a team and hold them accountable and develop them for positive impact on the bottom line and company culture, I focus on setting clear expectations, right? I'm assertive. Let's be clear up front. This is what I expect. This is what the organization expects. And this is what our execs expect. And then fostering that open communication. I think one thing that had carried me through that COVID, right? All real estate, we all hate that word, was going to those banks in creating that open line of communication, right? Saying, hey, we don't have the answer for you now, but we want to let you know here's where we are and what we're doing, and how we're going to attack this thing. And then providing regular feedback, on all levels, empowering individuals and celebrating achievements. And I think creating a learning environment where everyone feels supported to grow their skills and contribute meaningfully to the team's goals, right? We all have the same bottom line. We all have the same goal. And it's to grow and it's to be successful. And I like to call myself the NOI guru, right? My goal is to have positive NOI, right? And so that obviously affects our bottom line. So I would say that's how I successfully lead my team. And again, that open line of communication, I think, is the foundation of it all, right? I always lead with the bad news and follow up with the good news. But one thing is I'm transparent, open, and honest, and I'm going to give it to you straight.
Yes. Perfect. And there was so much good stuff there. I think, like you said in the very beginning of that, and what you just ended with is communication leading with transparency. Because at the end of the day, when we are leading with ambiguity or there's no clarity on something, and we oftentimes can almost, I would say, what's the right word I'm trying to find is we can just try to rob our team of what to have discernment on and how they're going to handle it because we're they're not ready to hear this. But the reality is when you're just assertive and you're straightforward and you set those clear goals and initiatives through your communication, people usually will have a high tolerance of what they're going to go into, even if it's not the best solutions in that exact time, because then they have buy-in with you through that process versus we're not going to really be transparent about what we're doing because we don't believe that they're ready to hear this news and we don't know all the answers. I like the fact that you're even if we don't have all the answers today, this is what we have accomplished and this is where we're going and we'll find it along the way. Because I feel like people tend to respect you more as a leader and they know that you have their back and their best interests versus withholding a lot of this pertinent details. And I think people show up through those. And that's where it's you're either going to rise up with us or, hey, this is the time where we have to pivot to make a change. I just love all your energy and everything you share.
Thank you.
NOI guru, everybody. She's an NOI guru. I believe it.
Guru.
I believe it. I believe it. And, I would love to talk to you more about all these different topics, but I know that at the end of the day, you bring so much value and you're based in the Midwest, right? I mean, if I recall.
Ohio, go Bucks. We just won the national championship. Yes, Midwest.
That's awesome. Yes, hopefully you're staying warm out there, but I love the fact that you're a Midwest leader out there and that you bring so much value into that market. That market is really booming. It's cool to see the growth that has happened in the last 5 years out there, let alone, it's just it's incredible. We've been seeing a lot of different opportunities hit those markets. So everybody, thank you so much for your time. What's the best way that people can get a hold of you? I mean, at the end of the day, you are looking for your next best venture. Can you share with us a little background on what you're really looking for and what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, first, the best way to connect with me is via LinkedIn. And my email is also on my LinkedIn as well. But I'm on LinkedIn all the time, sharing all the tips and the trades and all the things. And then my dream role, right, is to, I think, come in and be a property director or director of property management and or operations, right? Really lead an organization to its peak, right? Whether they want to develop more and need a way to get there, or they want someone to come in and keep the pace and continue to grow their team and their organization. So I think I'm the NOI guru for the job.
Yeah, yes, you are. I mean, I'd hire you in a heartbeat. So I
Yay!
love it. I love it. So there you have it. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I feel honored that we got to hear your story, come alongside you in this process. And thank you for always being such a great supporter, because I can't wait to see where you land next and celebrate you in that process. And everybody, please reach out to her, get connected. You're going to want to get on a call, you never know where these relationships can take you. It could lead to your next best thing. It could be that next person that, really plays a critical part in your life and your inner circle. And that's what we're all about here, is about fostering relationships and community and growth and support along the way. So thank you so much for your time today. And I'm so glad we had you on the show.
Thank you, Kelsey, and thank you all that you're doing in the real estate sector. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks again for listening and sharing your time with us on the show, Meet Your Next Best Hire. I hope you enjoyed listening to and learning from another incredible leader our industry is so fortunate to have in the real estate space. If you're a high-level leader within the diverse real estate industry and looking to land your next best venture and would love to share your story from your own voice and perspective, then be sure to check out our firm at Corey Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck via CoreyExecutive.com. Our mission is to continue to be trailblazers within the recruitment space and bring meaningful leaders to the forefront to drive growth and empower people. If you enjoyed this session, please like, comment, and subscribe to support us and our partners at Multifamily Media Network. Stay tuned and come join us on our journey.